Hello viewers, welcome to EthioPlane. This is Solomon. Today I'll show you how to create a 3D Bluetooth speaker in Blender. Stay tuned until the end and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. First let's open Blender. Then select camera and light by holding the shift key and delete it by pressing X. Now what we need is just a cube. Split the 3D viewport by dragging, then change the 3D viewport to the UV image editor. Then add the reference image from the folder, so you can view them from a different angle. As you can see in the image from the top and front, the angle is a beveled edge. So first let's create the form. We have two materials, rubber for the back that is holding the speaker and plastic for the main speaker. Now press 7 on the number pad to see the top view, then change to edit mode by pressing S to scale in x-axis 2.5. When you see the image from the top, the front is a little wider than the back. To do that, change the two-face mode, select the front face, then scale by pressing the S key in the x-axis 1.05, just a little. Select all by pressing A, then bevel by pressing Ctrl B, 0.5. Then from the left corner, change the segment value to 5. We need to add loops. So by pressing Ctrl R to add cut loops, then type 5 on the number pad to cut 5 loops. We need each loop to be equal later to make holes. Again, by pressing Ctrl R, cut loops. Type 25 on the number pad to cut 25 times, or you can scroll the middle mouse to add loop cut. Press escape key to release. Go back to solid mode and then in the modifier section add a subdivision. Just one is enough for now, we will add it later. Duplicate by pressing Shift D, then rename it, let's say speaker, and hide it by selecting the eye icon, and also rename the other just back. As you see in the image, the rubber bag needs to be cut from the front. So to do that, go to edit mode, then check the edit transparent mode or X-ray mode to see through by pressing B and drag, select loops to be cut, and to select unselected vertices by pressing Shift Alt, select loops. Then by pressing X, delete the vertices. We will add solidify later, but for now, we need to make the hole for inserting the pin. Pressing 7 on the number pad to see the top view, then change to edit mode by selecting half of the vertices in transparent mode, then by pressing X to delete the vertices. Go to the modifier tab, then add the mirror modifier. To fix the split, just bring the mirror before subdivision, then check the clipping. Assume where the hole is, then select one vertex and delete it by pressing X. By pressing the Alt key, select the loop, then extrude by pressing E, and scale by pressing S. Hit W, then select Circle from Loop Tools. Scale by pressing S. As you can see in the image, the hole is moving up a little bit. So to do that, move the selecting loop in the Z axis. Again, press E to extrude in the Z axis. Then scale by pressing the S key. Press E to extrude and scale by pressing the S key. Then push down in the Z axis. Last, press E to extrude and scale by pressing the S key. Select the top loop by pressing the Alt key. Then Shift D to duplicate, and by pressing P, choose Selection. Go to Solid Mode, select the loop, then rename it. Just save P. So by pressing 7 on the number pad, in Edit mode, select the 4 vertices. Then hit the F key to fill. F key. Select all by pressing A, then extrude by pressing the E key on the Z axis. To remove the black, select all by pressing A, then hit Ctrl N to flip normals. By changing to face mode, select the 2 middle faces, then extrude by pressing E. On the Z axis, type just 0.15. Add loop cut in the middle by pressing Ctrl R. To create a hole for the rope, add 3 loop cuts by pressing Ctrl R. Then select 1 vertices on each side, then by pressing the X key, delete it. By selecting the vertices, make a circle as much as possible. Moving and scaling the vertices creates the shape of the pin, referring to the image. Pressing E to extrude and S to scale. Create a circle by pressing W, then from Loop Tools choose Circle. Again by pressing E to extrude and S to scale. Then by selecting 4 vertices by pressing F to create a face. Then selecting Edge, then hit F continuously. It will fill just the gaps. In Edit mode, turn to side view by pressing 3 on the number pad. Then by pressing B, select some vertices. Then delete it by pressing the X key. Then back to solid mode. Let's apply the mirror modifier. Then now create the button. Select 1 vertices. Press the X key, then delete it to create a small hole. Select the vertices by pressing B and dragging. Then delete by pressing the X key. Select the loop by pressing the Alt key. Then extrude 0.8 by pressing E. And also by pressing W, choose Circle from Loop Tools. extrude by pressing E and scale 0.85 by pressing S key. Then push down in the Z-axis minus 0.02. Finally, press the F key to fill the gap. By pressing the Alt key, select the loop, then press E to extrude. And scale 0.85 by pressing the S key. Select each vertices, then scale in the X-axis by pressing S. Again, select the loop by pressing the Alt key and scale 0.85 by pressing S. Then drag down in the Z-axis minus 0.02. Pressing the F key to fill the gap. Let's save our file before going further. Now hide the bag by pressing the H key, then bring the speaker. By selecting the speaker, play the subdivision modifier. For the speaker, add other subdivisions in the modifier tab and hide the bag by pressing Alt H. By pressing the S key, scale by 0.98, just a little. By pressing the Shift Alt key, select the loops. Then by pressing B and drag select vertices. By pressing the Shift Alt key and selecting to remove unwanted vertices. Hit 3 to side view. Then by pressing B, select vertices. Hit Ctrl 3 to see the other side. Then by pressing B, select similar vertices. Now let's create the hole. By pressing Ctrl F to see the face tab. By pressing Ctrl E to see the Edge tab. By pressing Ctrl V to the Vertices tab. Go to Mesh, select Faces, then choose Pop Face or hotkeys Alt P. Again go to Mesh, select Faces, then choose Tries to Quad or the hotkeys Alt J. Remove unwanted try faces by pressing Shift Alt key. It is very tedious, so if you have any other easy method, please tell me in the comment section. As you can see in the image, the holes are very tiny. So to create that, press double click I to individually extrude or insert. By pressing W, subdivide. And again choose circle by selecting loop tools. Press E to extrude, then press Escape key to release and press X to delete faces. Now let's add a cube by pressing Shift A to block the inside, just for blocking. In edit mode, scale by pressing S on X-axis 2.5, similar to the previous. Select the front face, then scale in the X-axis 1.05. Select all by pressing A. Then add bevel by pressing Ctrl plus B 0.5. with similar loops. Then by pressing the S key, scale of 0.9. Pressing 7 for the top view, then scale by pressing the S key in X-axis. Let us rename the cube, let's say just block, or you can say whatever you like. Unhide the bag, and in the modifier section add solidify. Then on thickness type 0.025. You can go further or less. Hide everything except the back. First, let us fix the buttons, holes, and the pins. It's very unproportionate. Selecting the back, then change to edit mode. By pressing Shift Alt, select the loop. Then press Ctrl+ to add the loop selection. If the pivot point is in the median point, change to individual origin, then scale by pressing S key, type 0.9. By pressing C, circle selection mode, deselect the circle. Then scale in the X-axis. Selecting each pinhole, then press W to choose a circle from the loop tools. By pressing Shift Alt, select each circle loop. Then by pressing Ctrl+, add loop selection. And scale by pressing S key. Type 1.3. Change to object mode. Now select the pin to make a sharp edge like this. In edit mode, we have to select the loops and add a small bevel by pressing Ctrl+B. By pressing A, select all in edit mode. Then scale by pressing S key. 1.3, similar to the hole. Move the pin into Z-axis. Select the loop by pressing Shift. Then drag down in the Z-axis to make it tiny. Let's hide the bag for now. Now, to create the rope, select the pin. Then select the loop by pressing Alt. Press Shift S, then cursor on the selection. By pressing Shift D, duplicate one vertex. and by pressing P separate by selection. In edit mode, select the vertex, then press Shift S, selection to cursor. By pressing Ctrl 3, turn to the side view. Then by pressing E, extrude the vertex in a rope shape. Make it simple for the beginning. By pressing E, extrude in Y-axis. Back to object mode. Then remove mirror and subdivision modifier for now. By pressing Alt C, turn from mesh to curve. Or go to object, then choose convert to turn from mesh to curve. Go to object data, then under bevel change depth value to 0.045 for me. As you can see, this is half, so make it full. This has 4 vertices. To make it round, change the resolution to 1. Now in edit mode, rearrange the curve before going further. In object mode, by pressing Alt C, convert to mesh from curve. Before we go further, we have to create for handle. So to do that, in edit mode, select the loop by pressing Alt and duplicate it by pressing Shift D. Then also by pressing P, separate by selection. Let's rename this one handle. By selecting the rope, in the modifier section, add a mirror. Then change to Y. Hide the pin. In edit mode, to bridge the rope gap, check the clipping in the mirror modifier, then drag in the Y-axis, clip together. In the modifier section, add 1 subdivision. Then apply it. So to create a diamond shape, press Alt P to poke face, or go to mesh and select faces. Then choose poke face. Again hit Ctrl F and select tries to quad, or the hotkey is Alt J. If you have a 40-degree angle, increase it to remove unwanted edges like this. For me, 60 degrees works fine. By pressing Ctrl B, bevel, then add 1 loop. By pressing Shift D, duplicate it, and by pressing P, separate by selection. Rename this to Rope 1. In edit mode, press Alt S scale on its axis by 0.05. By pressing Shift Alt, select all the middle loops. Then again, by pressing Alt S, scale by -0.001, just little. S is to scale in all axes, X, Y, Z axis. But Alt S is scale only in the Z axis or on its own axis. Make it shade smooth. Go to the modifier tab, then add solidify modifier to add a little depth or thickness. Select the handle. Then add the mirror modifier in the y-axis. In edit mode, select all by pressing A. Before that, apply mirror modifier. Then again back to edit mode, and by pressing Shift S, select the cursor to selection. Duplicate by pressing Shift D, then press S to scale. We don't need this for vertices, so by pressing X, delete it. Scale in y-axis by selecting 4 vertices. Just hit F to fill. Also by selecting the edge and then pressing F, it will fill it. By selecting the 2 vertices, then press F to create an edge on both sides. Selecting the middle 4 vertices, then press F. Select the 2 edges, then subdivide by pressing W, and change the number of cut to 2. By selecting the 4 vertices, then scale by pressing S on the y-axis. And also scale on the x-axis. By pressing F, fill the gap. Go to the modifier tab, then add the subdivision. By pressing Alt, select the loop. Then press E to extrude in Z axis. And scale by pressing S. Again press E, then extrude in the Z axis. To create the edge like this, select the loop by pressing Alt and then by pressing Ctrl B to make a bevel. Make the bevel scale in the Z axis. Then shade smooth. Also for this, Again, select the loop by pressing Alt, then bevel by pressing Ctrl B. First, apply the mirror modifier for ROP and ROP1. Then select the handle and add mirror modifier in the modifier tab on the x-axis. Then select ROP1 and add mirror in the modifier tab in the x-axis. Also select the ROP and add mirror in the modifier tab on the x-axis. After this, we need to rotate. So to do that, in edit mode, by pressing Ctrl 3 for the side view, then turn on the edit in transparent mode or just X-ray mode. By pressing B, select the middle vertices. Then by pressing Shift S cursor to select it. In object mode, if we rotate it from the origin, and also in edit mode, it does not work. So to fix this, in edit mode, go to the pivot point, change from median point to 3D cursor. Rotate by pressing R in y-axis 45 degrees. For the rope and handle, the origin is the same. Then by selecting the handle in edit mode, pressing R, rotating in the y-axis 45 degrees. Also, rope 1 in edit mode, make sure all vertices are selected by pressing A, and then rotating by pressing R in the y-axis 45 degrees. Go to the front by pressing 1 on the number pad, select the handle, then in edit mode, select the loop by pressing the Alt key. Press E to extrude and rotate to connect the bridge. But before that, we need to change the pivot point from the 3D cursor to the median point. Pressing E to extrude and rotate by pressing A. To make it a flat loop, scale, press S on the x-axis, type 0. Check the clipping in the mirror modifier tab, then E to extrude in x-axis. And hide all, but make the block smooth. We need to parent to the empty to move and rotate the object easily. So by pressing Shift A and empty, then select cube. Scale the cube in X, Y and then axis, Z axis to fit the speaker inside. Select the handle holding Shift, then select cube and press Ctrl P, set parent to object. By selecting each, then parent to the empty cube. You can see all the objects are under the empty collection. So let's rename this to speaker. By selecting the empty and pressing G to grab, move or rotate. It is easy to position or animate. Add the wall by pressing Shift A, then select plane. In edit mode, scale by pressing S and type 5. Rotate by pressing R in the x-axis 90 degrees and move in the y-axis just far. By pressing 1, turn to front view, then by pressing Shift A, add camera. By pressing 7, turn to the top view, then move to Y-axis. To view through the camera, just hit 0. Then go to camera properties and change the focal length from 100 up to 110. High focal length is good for small objects or product shoot. So select the empty, then rotate by pressing A on the Z-axis 45 degrees and rotate in the Y-axis -20 degrees. Now go to World Properties, but before that change from Blender Render to Cycle Render. Select the Use Node, change to Render Mode, then the environment color is gray, as you can see. So we need to remove that before adding light. So make the strength 0, completely black. Back from render to solid mode. Hide the speaker, we don't need it for now. There is one thing I missed. So go to reference image, then import the back image. If you want this reference image, then the link is in the description. To create the chart and the microphone slot, we need to reset the rotation simply by Alt R or by pressing N in the properties panel to change rotations to 0. Hide the wall by pressing the H key. By pressing Ctrl 1 from the back view. Add cube by pressing Shift A. Go to edit mode, then scale it by pressing S. And again scale in the X-axis. By pressing Ctrl B, bevel the edge and add some loops by scrolling the middle mouse. Then shade smooth. By selecting the rubber pack, go to the modifier tab, then add the Boolean modifier. In the Boolean modifier properties, change the operation to difference, and by using the droplet, select the cube to cut it out. Now hide the cube. And to fix this issue, selecting the bag, go to Object Data Properties, then check the Auto Smooth. If it is not working, decrease the angle. Now we have to create a charger and a microphone slot for the speaker. So unhide the speaker, Shift A, then add plane. Then rotate by pressing R in the X-axis 90 degrees. Scale by pressing the S. Move the plane in the X-axis. And again by pressing Shift A, add a circle, then rotate it by pressing R on the x-axis 90 degrees. Then scale by pressing S. Move the circle to the other side in the x-axis. By selecting the plane in edit mode, scale by pressing S in the x-axis. A charger and a microphone slot. Selecting the circle and holding shift, select the plane, then by pressing Ctrl J, join the two objects. In edit mode, select all by pressing A. Then extrude by pressing E in the y-axis. Selecting all by pressing A, then move to y-axis to inside. Go to object mode, then hide the back by pressing H. Now select the speaker, and in the modifier tab add the Boolean modifier. Change the operation to difference. And by using a droplet selection, select the plane. Go into edit mode, then select only the cube and make it bevel by pressing Ctrl B. Then add two loops. Hide the plane by pressing H. Select the speaker. Then go to Object Data and check the Auto Smooth. Unhide the plane by pressing Alt H. Then by pressing Shift D, just duplicate it. Now hide the one plane by pressing H. In edit mode, select pose by pressing A. And scale in the y-axis by pressing S. Then move to inside in the y-axis. First, we have to create the charger inside. To do that, select the middle face. By pressing E, extrude in y-axis. Now, to see the inside, select the faces by holding the Shift key. To deselect the last loop, press Ctrl-. Then by pressing X, delete vertices. Go to the Modifier tab, then add Solidify. This is inverted, as you can see. So to fix this in edit mode, select all by pressing A, then by pressing Ctrl-N, flip the normals. Go to Object mode, change the offset to -1. And the thickness of 0.1 is enough. Do not forget to parent the charger and microphone with the MPT by pressing Ctrl P. Now select the MPT and rotate it again. By pressing N, change the values to 45 on the Z-axis. And -20 on the y-axis. By pressing 0 on the number pad, change to camera view. I hope this tutorial is helpful. So if you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you are new, please subscribe to this channel and join our family. Until we meet again, bye bye.